Hi, I'm David Bartell. A lot of people ask for help with the B flat, so I made this video for my students and I'm sharing it with the world at large. How do you get a B flat to sound good? I have 12 steps to help you do that. You will master it. Does it take 12 steps really? No, you probably know some of these already. So this is kind of for beginners, but there's some little tips in as we go. First tip is to loosen your wrist. Sometimes when you're doing a tricky chord, you get tense and maybe your fingers are in the wrong position. And so always keep your wrist loose so that you can be comfortable. If your hand starts to hurt, then stop. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, loosen your elbow. Okay, so everything needs to be fluid so that you don't get locked in and get tensed up. Different chords have different positions of the hand. I'm in a very different position from this to this. So you have to move your wrist accordingly, and sometimes your elbow. Make sure you have elbow room. You don't have arms of a chair, for example. Why should you learn B flat anyway? I'm sure you're here because this chord keeps coming up and you want to master it. This is one of the most common chords in the key of F. So if you're playing in C, you know, C, F, and G7. And if you're playing in the key of F, then those corresponding chords would be F, B flat, and C7. Sometimes when you're playing a song in F, you're on C, and you go down to C7, and then to F. Sometimes you modulate from C to F, and you're not even aware of it because it comes right back. But if you stay in F, then you're going to probably end up on B flat. So that's one reason. Another reason is that mastering the B flat will just improve your overall dexterity. And also, as you probably know, this is a closed chord, meaning all of the strings are depressed. They're all closed. There's no open. Like in C, you only have one closed string and then 3 open strings. In B flat, on that chord, you have all closed. So it's called closed. It's also called movable. A great example of a movable chord is if you take the B flat shape and move it up the fretboard. If you move it up 1, that's a B. 1 more is a C. So if you do the B flat shape on the 3rd fret, that's a C. And that's a useful alternate for C that is beyond the scope of this video, but it's a useful thing. Up 2 more and you got D, 2 more, you have E up on the 7th fret, and so on. Okay, tip number 4. If you have trouble with this shape, sometimes it may help to bar across not just the first 2 strings, but you could bar all of them and then do this. So it's just an alternate fingering, and sometimes people have problems, you know, with arthritis or something, and so there's some other things to do. Tip number 5. Instead of playing here, practice that chord shape up here on the 3rd fret, or some other fret, up higher up the neck. Why? Because down here, the string is held tighter. There's more tension on it because you're right up against the nut here. So if you push there, you'll find that it's the strings are tauter than they are up here on 3 or 5. So you should probably have an easier time of depressing the strings up here. All right? So the strings are softer, and so you'll have a quicker success by practicing up here. I'll show you an exercise shortly for that. Tip number 6. So if you have trouble with the full B flat, you can lift up your ring finger from the top string. That is a G minor 7 chord, but it sounds like a B flat. Pretty close. Most people will not notice the difference if you're playing along in a group. Now, tip number 7. Here's the secret sauce, courtesy of my mentor, Moses Kamai, who had this great tip. So when you're playing, I mentioned loosening your elbow and your wrist, and you may be tempted to have your fingers pointed up, right? Especially this chord holds the general principle that you're going to have your first finger on the first fret, second finger on the second fret, third finger on the third fret. That is a rule that is often broken, but it's a general rule of thumb of which finger to use on which fret. All right, so if I'm doing that, if I'm following that principle, I can play a B flat, but I've got my elbow way in too far to my side here. My wrist is kind of bent. My shoulder is not comfortable. Okay. By the way, I'm not going to really talk about seating position and things like that, but those are all important. So the tip is this. Take those fingers and instead of pointing them up, point them over here to your opposite shoulder, like this, more or less. Okay, now that involves, if you look at the difference, I'm moving my wrist and my elbow. I'm exaggerating, but that's the difference. Try it yourself. And if you point your fingers over, maybe not entirely over, but over that way, and it makes it easier to make nice clear tones. I can move up. As you move up, you will notice that your fingers are going to be pointed more straight up. But down here on the B flat position, they're going to be angled, and that's going to help a lot. Practice the chord as an arpeggio. This is tip number 8. Arpeggio means you go one string at a time, like that. Sometimes you play chords that way, right? Sounds nice for a slow song or an ending, ta-da, you know. But when you practice that, you can isolate which strings are thunking. Where am I not hitting it right? If you hear a thunk or a buzz or something, work on that string. Get your finger in the right position, not on the fret, but just behind it, until you get it all sounding nice. Go as slow as you need to. Adjust accordingly. Move your hand, your elbow, your fingers. Try doing this kind of motion. Just move it around. There's not a right answer. It really depends on you and how your hand works and how you play, how your instrument is. For example, this instrument has nice low action, meaning that the strings are close to the fretboard. I don't have to push too hard. So I'm going to have an easier time on this instrument than on a less expensive one where the action is high. In other words, you have to push really hard and you might get grooves in your fingers. I've got a little bit of it now. But if it's hurting your finger pads, yes, you'll develop calluses, but you also might consider upgrading your instrument if that's a particular problem. Number 9. Tip number 9 is to take that arpeggio and walk it up the fretboard. Back down. And I did that in time. Don't just go. Okay, now wait, let me go. Oh, no, no, don't do that. Get a beat going. So you moving in time with some imagined music. Go slow as you need to, but try to keep a rhythm. So I'll tap my foot. So the point of that is to move the chord in rhythm to a song. So you start by the tonality, and then you get the motion, and then you get the rhythm, and then you change chords and get it in the song. And once you've done all of those things, you will have mastered the B flat chord in a song. So getting a clean chord sound is a big milestone, but you can keep playing. If you're playing a song and you don't play the chord clean, you keep going. So tip number 10 is to favor the rhythm over the precision or the tonality. If you're playing in a song and you're not playing the chord cleanly, just keep playing keep the rhythm going and work on your tone later on. Okay, that's just kind of a rule of playing with people. If you're practicing by yourself, then what you want to do is slow down and work on the precision. So it's two kind of different pieces of advice for different situations. Okay, we're almost to number 12. We're on number 11 now. So now we've got a clean chord, let's say, and the next thing is to move from that chord to something else. Let's go back and forth from B flat to C7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's add the F. F, 2, 3, 4. B flat, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. C7, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. B flat, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. B7, 2, 3, 4. All right, can you play a B flat now? Hope this was helpful. Happy strumming. A weave away